Hi guys, coming to you today with a product that has become a cult icon, and a lot of people just wants to own them for some reason. This is a Sharp amplifier, and this is the SX-9860. It was normally in a Sharp rack, all we have components stacked on top of each other inside a rolling cabinet with glass doors. Um, so, for some reason, um, I have only heard these when I was way younger, and didn't pay much attention to them. But I've been following the audio market for many years, and I've seen what kind of these attention these amplifiers get. And this is not the only one that looks like this, and it's in this SX series like this. There's many of them. You have the 3000 series, you have the 4000 series, the 8000 series, and then of course the 9000 series. Common for them all is that they're built up on the same way, and they're built kind of weird. This one is about, I haven't checked it out, but it's probably about somewhere between 15 and 17 kilograms, which probably is around somewhere between 35 and 40 pounds. The back side of it has, it's nothing to brag about. It has those regular plastic push terminals for speaker connectors, and you have A and B, so you can select A and B speakers here on the front. You have headphones in on the front, and VU meters, and some lights. That's it. And a lot of people get confused because they look on the back, and they look on the front, they look on the top and the sides, and they go like, where the frick is the on and off button? Well, this one doesn't have an on and off button. And you can plug it into the wall socket as much as you want, and nothing happens. You can hear a click, and that means that the main power source is activated and nothing else. So you can turn it on. The way it sits now, you can't use it. But unless you have the rest of the stack that came with it, because that kind of like plays into how this amplifier is built. So how is it built? How can we make it work? Well, it's fairly damn easy. It is so easy a 5-year-old could do it. Because normally when you have the rest of the rack, you use this cable that comes in. Because on the back side, yes, you have a power cable, regular power cable. They come as 110-120 or 220-230. So they came in 220 volts and 110 volt. So that's that one, main power plug. That just activates the amplifier, the main power supply, and it activates a couple other things. It doesn't activate the light. It doesn't activate the sound, the channels out, the output board, and the channels out. So you plug this one in, and then out on the back you have RCA cables that you hook up to a preamp or something like that, because you need to have a preamp with this one because there's no volume knob. So you hook this one up to a preamp. So those are the RCA cable, and these are wires, and they go straight into. I'll show the back side later. So they go straight in there. But there's another set of wires, and those are the what we call sequence or remote controlled on and off supply. This will also would, I think they cut it, because normally it comes with like a white little socket thing on the connector on the front, on the end here, that goes into the preamp that came with it. So you have to have this cable, and neutral is black, and positive is marked with white stripes. So what you do is you have to get this one activated, because this wire here goes in the back as well, and it goes to relay inside this one that switches everything on and off. So once you get this one hooked up with minus and plus, ground or hot, however you want to say it, then the lights comes on, the amplifier, you can hear like a switch going on inside, and then the amplifier will be ready to play, and you can play music. How much voltage is this. This is not to be plugged into the wall. This little wire here has to have 12 volt DC. And 500 milliamps or 1 amp is okay. I wouldn't go any more. So this one has to be plugged up to 12 volt DC. So how do you do that? You get one of these. As long as it says 12 volt, 500 milliamps or 1 amp, you're good to go. And then you say, well, how do I do that? Well, normally they come with a plug like this, or a different plug. They come in different sizes, you know, depending on what kind of equipment they're supposed to run. So you cut off this tip, and these are also marked. You have one that is completely black, only has some print on them, and then there's one that has white stripes on it. And as long as you do the white stripes on this and white stripes on that, you are good to go. Some of these do not have white stripes like this one have. They might have something else, but as long as the cable are marked and then you use it for marked here, you should be fairly good to go. You can also measure the polarity on this. This one is 12 volt, 1 amp. Most people will say you should go with 500 milliamps because that's more than enough to trigger the relay inside. I have tested one amps before on something similar, not on this one, but something similar, and it works just as fine. 1 amp is not going to break or bust anything. So it's fairly easy to get this one up and running. Of course, if it's in good condition and in working condition. I don't know yet on this one because I just got it. So now I have to cut this one because the other one that I had, I sold with another amp that had, but not sharp, that had the same stupid build-up. So I have to make a new one, but that's easy. You just cut it, you strip the cords, and you make a connector. And you can use any type of connector, and they're like 40, 50, 75 cents, 80 cents if you buy them wholesale or from a distributor. If you go to a store, you probably pay $2 or $3 for a connector. So you have to have both ends. So that's how you get this one up and running. And then you, of course, after you get this hooked up, then you have to plug this one into the wall, of course. And then, of course, you hook this one up to either a mixer or a preamp, something that can control the volume, because you have no controls on this one. You cannot, if you plug this one directly up a CD player or a DVD player, you will get full blown volume straight out. There's nothing to do to regulate the volume on this one. So you have to have a preamp or a mixer. So let me put this one away for now, and let me turn this one around so you can see the back. This little sucker is fairly heavy. Can you see it there? Yeah, I think so. Here when you look at it this way, on the left side, you have speaker connectors. Some people say that you can run these in 4 ohm. I would not. They are rated for 8 ohm, and that's where I would recommend it to stay. Apparently, it's supposed to deliver 150 watts per channel, and it has A and B. Like I said before, it has the A and B selector on the back. It has outputs for front speakers, A and B, and then of course it has rear speakers as well. So kind of like okay, left and right, but you only have one set of speakers on the rear. So that I wouldn't go. I know people say you can do 4 ohm, blah blah blah. It will do 260, 275 watts in 4 ohm. I have seen people online who have run these in 4 ohm, and yeah, they last for a little while, and then things starts to happen. So stay at 8 ohm and use it for a 150 watt per channel amp as it is. Will it deliver 150 watts per channel? That's the big question. Well, I don't see why not. There's a few things with it that I'm going to talk about that I think is on the negative end of things. But it states 150 watts per channel in 8 ohm. That's the rated thing. It has big bold things on the front, and I looked up the manual when it came to the power, and it has been rated at 150 per channel in 8 ohm with 1% distortion. Not too shabby. It also has a rating of power consumption of close to 1,000 watts. So if you think about it, if it draws 1,000 watts from the wall, from the socket, could it convert that into 150 watts per channel? That's 300 watts. So it draws 700 watts more than what it's rated for. So yes, I would say that this one can probably do 150 watts per channel in 8 ohm. And it could probably do 4 ohm for a short burst, a short time. I have looked inside one of these, not this one, but I have seen pictures online where people have taken the cover off, and I looked inside of it, and not like Crown or Carver or Parasound or like the big name impressive buildup, but to be what it is, it has a fairly good buildup, and the transformer in here is fairly big, and it has a nice capacitor bank or power capacitor bank, so it has power reserve to go along with what they state. I would say this: it's made in Korea, and so it's not just like a Chinese thing, even though it was made way back in the day. So being made in Korea is a lot better than being made in China, let me tell you. PCB boards, motherboards, components are all much better in Korea. Also, soldering joints and soldering points are done better in Korea than China. So the build-up, I wouldn't doubt the build-up inside of this one for a second, because Korea has always made good products. The weird thing about this one is the shape. But of course it wasn't made like that because it was supposed to be in a rack. It was supposed to be one component among others. And it was supposed to be integrated with each other in a rolling rack. So that's why it's built the way it is. It's kind of, it's not very deep from front to back, but it's kind of high from bottom to top. And it has the normal rack size width. Now, I said I was going to say something negative about this one. And here it comes. And you can feel that the weight is way more on this side where the power cord goes in and stuff. That's normal because that's probably where all the power supply sits. Can you see it properly now? Yeah. I like the look of it, to be honest. I mean, I'm a sucker for big stuff that lights up and VU meters and all kinds of shit like that. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. However, before we go there, so I like the layout of it. It looks classy. If you didn't know better, it has a very minimalistic look. Has a very like Darth Vader look to it in a way. His mask and this is his mouth and whatever, glowing eyes, whatever. But this is just all for show. This has no practical purpose or benefits at all. It has vents on the top, regular vents, just holes that are stamped out in the sheet metal. The front, and this is where the negative comes in. Even though it looks cool, it's just pure plastic. All of this is plastic. Even the feet are plastic. So that kind of like takes it down. If this was sheet metal or some kind of better, maybe a better type of plastic, this is cheap plastic. This is where they save the money. So that takes the whole experience down a bit. look-wise, cosmetically-wise. But of course, when this lights up, it looks really cool. Let me tell you, you should look it up on YouTube. There's a few of them that are on YouTube. And this one, and the brothers, like the 8800 and 8600 or whatever, and even the 3000 series has some cool features on the front with moving lights and stuff like that. But yeah, this so-called cooling fins here, nah, just plastic, just for looks, just to make it look like Darth Vader or something. I think it kind of like resembles in a way. They made the label in aluminum. The little label that says SX-9860 stereo power amplifier, that's in aluminum. And there's some aluminum accents things on the feet here, you can probably see it. But the rest of it, this is plastic. Plastic glass. It says Sharp, high power, 150 plus 150 watts plus 150 watts. Minimum RMS power into 8 ohm, 40 hertz to 20 kilohertz, with no more than 0.09 total harmonic distortion. So it's even less than what it was stating online. But of course, what you read online can be wrong sometimes, because you don't. Some of these can be hard to find specs about. And these are normally not the type of products you will find on Hi-Fi Central and all these good places that can give you specifications and even copy of manuals. But someone had written down a spec sheet, and that's what I was looking at, and that is a 1%, I think it was. But here it says 0.9%. So it's better than what it was stating online. And 0.9% harmonic distortion, it's not that bad. If you compare it to Pioneer and Sony and a lot of these other companies from this era, you know, they use 10% distortion to get their rating. So Sharp, they were at least a little bit honest about things. You know, they didn't beef this one up and say 1000 watts at 10% and all that shit. So they stayed at 150 plus 150 with 0.9% distortion. So that tells me that they didn't want to over or inflate the numbers on it. And that's good. That's good. At least they stayed true to what they did, and it kind of speaks volume when a manufacturer do that. But because it's so easy, both back in the 80s and 90s, and even today, to blow up your numbers to make you sound impressive or to make the product look impressive. So many times they blow up the numbers and they use higher distortion rate when they measure it. They could have probably put like 250 watts per plus 250 watt with a total harmonic distortion of 5%, 10%, something like that, you know. But what's the point of that? You don't want to listen to distortion, do you? So this is good. But like I said, this plastic front, oh Lord. But the thing is, it has become a cult icon or a cult status icon product. Because I don't know why. I can maybe see why, and it's because of the looks, and they have a fairly good power too. I would not doubt that these are 150 per channel. Do they have the greatest damping control factor in the world? Hell no. So I wouldn't probably drive big 7 Vega speakers on it, but you can drive the 8 inches, the 10 inches, and even some 12 inches, like the old HED line, the Receiver Savers and the Hard Rocker series, because they were fairly easy to drive, didn't need a lot of control. Well, they need control, but not like the bigger ones. But I think it has become an icon because of what it looks like, and that it's, you know, up until now it's been fairly cheap too to get. So the only thing that you have to tackle, of course, is this one. You have to have a remote switch on and off, and you do that with this type. So you can try and find of course you can try and find the preamp that went with it, but you know. So I see this on YouTube, and I see it on eBay, and I see it online. People are talking about the Sharp power amplifiers with a plastic front. And look, I tell you, this is from what I remember when I was younger, when I heard it. It wasn't totally bad. It wasn't like, oh my god, that sucks. But it wasn't like, wow, that sounds really good. It was like, it was something in between. It was like, oh, this is cool, you know, it sounds okay. And a lot of people will say that they're not the greatest ones, but they're not the worst one either. There's something in the middle. But they give you some value for money, because you can have them for fairly cheap. Well, last time I checked was last night when I got time to look it up, because I got this one a couple of days ago. The prices have gone up quite a bit since I looked, because a few years ago you could have these for like 40-50 bucks in good working condition. Now I looked them up last night, and they're like 120, 150, 200, 250 bucks, depending on the model, and of course what kind of cosmetic condition they are in. So they are really bumped up in price, and that tells me that there is a market out there with people who just think that these are so cool. And you know, products doesn't have to be the state of the art. It doesn't have to be the best of the best. It doesn't have to be the coolest. It doesn't have to be the most expensive thing that was on the market when it was new. If something comes along and it starts a cult following, which these have a cult following of people. If something comes along and it starts creating a cult following, oh my god, you will see prices spike way up there. And it's the same, it's not just with audio, it's the same with cars, motorcycles, all kinds of stuff. If you have a product that will spike some interest, and I mean, all it takes is a couple of hundred people to start off with, that goes like, oh, that looks cool, and they start bidding on it, and then over a period of time they start talking about it, they post things about them like I'm doing now, and all of a sudden there's a whole other market added to the original, and then things starts to really blow up in demand and prices. And then you have these people who won't listen to any common sense that this is not the greatest thing, you know. It's not a 200 watt para sound amplifier. It's not a 150 watt car amplifier. It doesn't even sound anywhere near it. And then you have people who won't listen to that, and in their mind this is the greatest thing ever, and they will talk it up and talk it up and talk it up, and you know, people online are being mesmerized about this, and all of a sudden you create another subgenre of people who are interested in this, and boom, you have created competition to get it. And that's when prices are being driven up, when more people are being made aware of something that they think it's cool, but they wasn't sure if they wanted to pull the trigger on, but then they see a video or a review or something like that that gives good positive feedback. Then the change of mind process has started, and the more reviews and the more videos they see that are positive, they're going to be like, I want that, it looks cool, I don't care. And then of course you have another market, and those are the ones who had these as a kid back in the day, who wants to now get back to it, and they want this. Or you have the people who have the rest of this stack but are missing the amplifier, and they just need it because they want a complete set. So there's many factors to what makes an average product an icon or very sought after. Like I said, doesn't have to be the top of the line, doesn't have to be the fanciest name in the business, it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing. People will collect anything and everything regardless of price, regardless of quality, regardless of era of manufacturing, regardless of where it comes from, and regardless of anything and everything you can think of. So this is why I'm struggling with it, because I like the freaking look of it. If you could stand and look at it at a distance and never go up there and touch it or nothing, you just turn it on and you just looked at it all day when you was playing. You know, this would mesmerize a lot of people. And with the lights and the moving lights and this front and stuff like that, you know, yeah, people get caught up in it. But this is a big turn off. I mean, this is just so plastically, and it's just so thin. The front, I mean, even with the plastic, it's fairly heavy. Like I said, it's like 16, 17 and a half kilos. Probably somewhere between 35 and probably 35 to 42 pounds in total weight. So I'm gonna tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, next week, because tomorrow I have something else I have to do. Next week I'm gonna start by configuring this one. I'm gonna get it hooked up, and we're gonna do some live testing with it, and we're gonna turn it on and see the lights and everything. So, but I wanted to take some time to talk about it. So there you go. Let's do a test next week, and we'll put it to use, and we'll see how it does. Until next time, take care.